Good evening and a warm welcome to all the lovely audience who have tuned in to our parent station today. Today is Friday, and as you all know, we invite experts on our platform. Experts who are going to help us in enhancing our parenting skill. And today we have with us a very esteemed guest, Dr. Chetan Trivedi, who is an MD and consultant pediatrician and neonatologist. He's practicing since last 20 years. He's also creating very many awareness videos on COVID-19 on his YouTube channel. Welcome, sir, to Parent Station.
Thank you, Mr. Shmista. Thank you, Parent Station and Small Wonders, for a wonderful opportunity to interact with you. And I hope at the end of the talk, we'll be able to deliver the good carry-on messages for the audience. So thank you so much, and let's begin.
Sure. Children's health and mental well-being is the priority of parents. So we have heard that the second wave, many children have been infected. According to you, doctor, what's your opinion on this?
Yes, because the pediatricians and the children were not on the target on first wave. We know that very few children who got infected in first wave, and in the second wave, the tables were turned because we saw the good number of the pediatric population, the children getting infected with COVID. Not only infected, but they were all symptomatic, majority of them. So what happened in first wave? We had a very few children who were getting infection, and second wave, we had symptomatic patients. So the numbers were at par with adults, but because in the first wave we didn't have any children who got infected, in second wave it was at par. Still, it was looking more. But fortunately, what we saw is that all the children who got infection in the second wave, even though they were symptomatic, they were cured, or they could be managed with just a symptomatic treatment, a supportive treatment, in form of maybe a paracetamol or hydration maintenance and the rest. So that was the best part of the story, and hardly we required, like, if any of the kids to got, like, they had to be admitted and they needed an intensive treatment. So yes, numbers were more, symptomatic patients were more, but fortunately they were not severe COVID, which required hospitalization and intensive treatment.
Oh, that's really good to hear that they were not supposed to like get hospitalized and everything. Now the next is like everybody is talking about the third wave. And when are we expecting the third wave, and how far is it true that children are going to be more affected in this third wave?
See, as we know that prediction is absolutely not possible for anybody to predict whether the third wave will come or not. If at all it will come, then it will be when it will come and how severe it will be.
Yes.
But normal any pandemic, if you see, it will be having a snowball effect. What we can see, if you throw a ball, it will pitch up, and first time it will jump a higher side, and then there will be some one or more two jumps which will be at the same level or maybe a more, and then gradually they will be decrease in the peak of the pitch of that ball. So
Yeah.
usually pandemic, what will happen? First wave, then second wave, and then gradually third, fourth wave will come, and that's the way the pandemic is going to die off. So yes,
No.
third wave, fourth wave are going to come, but how severe and where, it is very difficult to predict because we cannot predict it, and that too whether that will affect more number of children. That again a big question, because we saw that in first and second wave, children they escape this infection very successfully.
Okay.
Even though the first wave, we saw that a high number of the old age people and all those with comorbidities, they were there. Second wave, we had a younger generation who got infection and even a bad result, bad outcome. So that's the reason people are thinking that maybe in third wave, there will be children will be more affected. And secondly, because they thought the argument or behind this thing is the first wave, because we had an elderly population, we vaccinated them. The second wave, we got a younger population. Now we are vaccinating them. So what is left is the young the pediatric population, that is 18. So they will be getting more infection. But I think there is no evidences or no scientific reason behind it. So I hope that this will not come true, that children will be affected more in the third wave. But yes, we have to be prepared for that, and that's what government and all these machineries are after it, so that we should not caught unaware of a dreaded third wave if it comes.
Even if children are going to get affected, what are the prevention and precaution needed? What should a parent do?
See, for third wave, why we are telling that children will be less affected, because children are having some inherent properties. Like why children didn't get much involved or affected in first and second wave? Maybe because I think when we talk about AC receptors, because these are the receptors in our respiratory tract where the virus will get and attached. So what has been found is that in children there are less number of receptors of AC receptors. That's why they are not having very bad COVID. That is one argument. Second thing is they don't have comorbidity except for obesity, because we have children who are obese. That is the only comorbidity. Otherwise, they are not having hypertension. They are not having diabetes. So comorbidity is less. Third thing is they are always having some or other viral infection. So, like that there are other coronaviruses other than COVID-19, which gives the similar picture like a cough, cold, and fever and all that. So they might have suffered from that, and that might give them cross protection against this COVID-19 also. So we are not sure about it. So there are reason. Maybe they have been given many vaccinations, so their immune system is already stimulated. So that's why they are not being, major culprit of this particular disease. So now, if you want to prevent the infection from occurring, even we have seen in second wave that majority of time we had children who got infection. They had somebody in the family COVID-19 positive. So what they got it from adults, they didn't get it just like that. There are very few or other no examples or instances where we had a child who is getting infected and then the other family members are infected. So
Okay.
that gives a ray of hope that children will be saved if you protect the adults who are going to come in contact with the children. So how can you do that? Just the COVID appropriate behaviors of adults and a proper as early as possible vaccination of all adults who are going to come in contact with the children. These are the best way to prevent the infection of children, COVID in children. So if you want to protect your child, you get yourself protected. That definitely will protect your children from COVID infection. So you follow COVID appropriate behavior, you wear mask, you keep social distancing, you keep sanitizing. Children will follow that, and you will be definitely able to protect your children. So that is the only way, because we know that we don't have the vaccination for the children. So till we have the vaccination for children, I think just protect the children from the adults who are going to give the infection to our children.
Still, sir, according to you, which age group of children did you observe, like during your practice, like
See,
particular which age group?
in second wave, we found it that all age group were infected. So, but
Okay.
majority of them were either mildly symptomatic or somewhat symptomatic. But the problem what we found was not in the younger children, say 5, 6 years or 4 years or 3 years. Even a 2-month-old baby got positive because mother was positive. The problem was in the adolescent age group. Why? Because adolescent age group, they are since last 1 to 2 years, they all are at home. They are not coming out of the home. They have not done any exercise. So they have gained a lot. Weight
Yes.
gain is too much for these kids. And this adolescent population, they behave just like adults. And that's the issue what we are facing. Whatever the problematic cases we found in second wave, they were all around 14, 15 years with weight of almost 60, 70 kg.
Oh, oh.
So these were the patients, pediatric population, who behaved like an adult. And that's why we found that this is the real problem. So just we'll try to concentrate on adolescent age group so that we can take care of our pediatric population the most.
So when are we expecting vaccination for children?
See, vaccination, we know that it has been available for more than 18 years. And any vaccine, first it will be tried in animals, then it will be tried in the healthy adults, then it will be tried into the, with some high risk factors, then it will be tried in maybe say you have a pregnant lady or a breastfeeding mother, and then they will go beyond the 18 years. So then they will start doing the trials in 12 to 18 years. Then they will go to 6 to 12 years and less than 6 years. So now in India, we know that Covaxin is been they have started the trials in 12 to 18 years age group. So we will have to wait for their results because they will be giving first dose, second dose, then they will be looking at the safety, what are the side effects, what is the immunogenicity, rather titer, how much titer they generate, whether they are at par with adult. And then once that immunogenicity and safety is established, then it will be given a permission license to be given to the pediatric population. So that's the study has been just started. So maybe it will take few months for the first results, and then so it will be at least 3 to 4 months for the first batch of vaccine for the to approval in the children, and then it will go on further. So as of now, we can say for 3 4 months we will not be having a vaccine for children. But as a matter of fact, what I feel is maybe children they don't require a vaccination as of now, because we saw that directly children are not getting infected. But yes, because we want to open the school, because we want to send children to the school and want to mix them up with others, I think we need to find a way. And when you talk about the herd immunity, what is herd immunity? If you have a herd of say 100 people, if you vaccinate 70, 80 people, then rest 20, 30 who are not been vaccinated, they also will get a indirect protection. And that is a herd protection. Now, if you see the population of in general, we have almost say 30% or 35% of pediatric population. So unless you give vaccination to them or you get infection, natural infection and immunity, you're not going to reach to herd immunity. And unless you go to the reach to herd immunity, you're not going to clear this pandemic. So that's why I think vaccination in children is important, because they are making a bigger chunk of our population. Second thing, yes, if they can transmit the disease, that will be a real problem, because they will be always moving in the groups and in the friends. So as of now, what we can do is we can just vaccinate all the adults who are going to come in contact with the children, and that will be the better way rather than waiting for the vaccines.
Again, the biggest confusion, sir, that Covaxin or Co-Shield. अगर मैंने first Covaxin लिया है, तो second if I take Co-Shield. So what is this all about, and what are your suggestion? Which vaccine, and both the dose it should be the same, or we can take a different one? What do you suggest?
See, basically we have two vaccines available as of now, so there is less confusion. I am telling you, as soon as the third, fourth, fifth vaccine are going to come, then the confusion will be definitely increasing. But as of now, we will be talking about two vaccines. We know that both the vaccines are totally different. One is chimpanzee adenoviral vector vaccine, that is Covishield. So what they do, they take a spike protein from the COVID virus, then they put it into the shell of say chimpanzee adenovirus, and that virus that has been inactivated so much that will not be replicating in our body. So that they put a spike protein inside, then take the vector and they introduce in our body, and our body will generate antibody against that spike protein of COVID virus. While that virus, chimpanzee adenovirus, the shell, that will die off. That will not cause anything in the body. So that is one vaccine, that is Covishield. While Covaxin is totally different vaccine, because there they are taking a whole virus, they neutralize and rather attenuated so much that it is not alive, and then that will produce, that act as an antigen as a whole, and antibody will be generated. So totally different thing. So we cannot, first thing is you cannot interchange with that. So whatever vaccine is available, whatever study are there, and even the real life situation, they have clearly said or shown that if you are vaccinated with either of vaccine, you are at least safe for as far as the severe COVID is concerned. You are safe for the severe COVID, which requires a hospitalization and the mortality or deaths. So I think that is more than reassuring to take any of the vaccine. Now, second thing is we need to finish 2 doses, because that is compulsory, because all the studies, they are been done with the 2 dose, and that too, the studies have been done with the proper gap between these 2 doses. Suppose you have taken Covishield, the study has been there from 4 weeks to 12 weeks. So that's why the government has now told that you have to give it after 84 days. That is 3 months, 12 weeks gap. while Covaxin has been studied for, I think, at the gap of say 28 days, 4 weeks. So that's why government is having to give it 28 to 42 days. So you have to follow these norms because these are the conditions under which that vaccine has been studied, and that's why they have seen the antibody response. So we should stick to the whatever the vaccine which we have received on the first dose. You have to continue and finish the second dose. Don't try to go for the choices of vaccine, and whatever is available we should take it and complete the schedule with that only. This is a present scientific knowledge with the presence of two vaccines in our country. Let us see what happens after the vaccine, and let us see what are results of mismatching of the vaccine with first dose with one vaccine, another dose with second vaccine, and what happens to antibody titer. Let us wait. As of now, don't indulge in the vaccine.
It's also said that even children, if they are given the flu shots, then it is going to be like they won't be infected with COVID-19. Is it true?
That is the biggest myth, friends. You see, I'll be very open to say that flu shot is for influenza. So
Okay.
influenza is a disease which is similar to COVID because that also causes fever, that also causes running nose, that also causes body ache. Usually that occurs in the monsoon period. So if you get influenza, then you will get confused that whether you are getting a COVID infection, if there is a background incidence of the COVID is going on, then you will be in soup, whether it is COVID or flu, right? So again, you will go for the investigation, unnecessary reports and all that, and you will be, unnecessarily being exposed to the hospitals. So if you are given a flu shot, that will protect you against the influenza. And in children, usually we have a monsoon season which is having a peak for influenza. So it is good that you should take a flu shot, but it is for influenza, not for COVID,
Not for-
because
okay.
this will act on influenza, not on COVID. Yes, because COVID is also having a respiratory involvement. Influenza is also having a respiratory involvement. That's why at least whatever vaccine is available for pediatric population, we should take it.
Yes.
And it is usually what we do is we schedule this vaccine during pre-monsoon, that is April, May, and June. And you know that influenza vaccine we have every year we are having a new vaccine because this influenza also a same virus like a COVID, which is getting changed every time. So what they do, they assess that what is the circulating strain of the influenza, and then they prepare a new vaccine, and it comes to the market. So every year you have to take it. And for India, in our seasonal pattern, it shows that you have to give it pre-monsoon. You can give it in rest of the year also, but once you get a chance, then you just shift it to pre-monsoon. And every time, first time, you have to take 2 doses of influenza vaccine at 1 month interval, and then every year you have to give single dose. If the child is less than 9 years and above 9 years, you have to take a single dose. So flu shots are for influenza, not for COVID-19 infection.
Thank you. That was very informative because that's a biggest myth which everyone is having. Even during this COVID period, there are many parents who couldn't make up to the hospital thinking that if we move out, our children will get infected and everything. So what about those missed vaccination program of the children or whatever was planned date? Is it okay to skip the vaccination? What would you like to
See,
see on
this is the biggest threat to human or mankind because we are worried so much about COVID. Similar thing happened during Ebola in Africa. They were worried so much about that particular virus, so they didn't take the children for the vaccination, and ultimately there will be measles outbreak, and that killed more number of children. So if you cannot take the vaccination, rather give vaccination to your children which are available, and then your children will be at high risk of the diseases which are vaccine preventable and which you should have given. So I think if you have missed the vaccination, it is a high time you should go to your pediatrician, get your child vaccinated timely. And friends, you should be knowing that it is not that if you have missed the dose of 1.5 years, at 2 years you can't give it. You can definitely give it, because suppose you have given the vaccination which is having a 3-dose schedule. If you have given 2 doses and third dose is left, so it is not that you have to restart. Our body is having a memory, so you have to just go for the third dose, and that will be calculated as third dose. You don't have to restart. You have to just complete the schedule. That is one thing. Second thing, suppose you go to your pediatrician and you say that there are 4, 5 vaccines are left out. So usually we have a tendency, sir, you give it one vaccine this time, then after a month we will come for the second vaccine for 1 month. See, we can give n number of vaccines on the same day. We can give 2, 3, 4 vaccines on the same day. There won't be any issue. There are some scientific, clause where we have to give all the vaccine on the same day, or we have to keep a gap of 1 month. But if your pediatrician decides, yes, you can go for all the vaccines together, take the vaccines because you have missed the vaccines, and don't miss the opportunity to vaccinate your child whenever you reach to the hospital. Second thing, nowadays we pediatricians, we are you also worried for the people or the patients relatives, because we don't want to see the people crowded in their OPD. So you can take an appointment, and pediatrician will manage in such a way that there should not be a rush at that particular time during the vaccination. So you can just go with the less number of the people around, you get vaccinated and you come out. So that is the best way to do that. And I think we should get vaccinated, all our children who have missed their vaccination, because a COVID might go, but then the other diseases might, erupt, and that will cause a really problem for our kids.
So parents, those who have missed the vaccination, please make up.
Yes.
So I would like to ask you, sir, if the mother is breastfeeding the child, is it okay if she get vaccinated?
Yeah, vaccinated for COVID vaccine, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
for COVID.
Yeah, this was the question, because till we got the guidelines from government, we also were saying that no, breastfeeding mother should not get the COVID vaccine. But now there's clear-cut guideline from government that yes, if you are breastfeeding your child, you can safely be given a COVID vaccine. You should go and take the vaccine, whatever available, Covaxin or Covishield, and you should finish top. Yes, because initially we were having the worry for that safety issue. But one thing is very sure, that if you are given a vaccine, it is safe, and your children or your baby is not going to get affected because of your vaccination. Yes, if you get a vaccination, you may have a fever for a day or so, or you may be some local soreness, but that will be fine. You can take a paracetamol for the same, and you can continue breastfeeding your child. So yes, you should get vaccinated.
Sir, if a mother is positive during the delivery, and how could we take care of the baby? This is really a very much crucial time, like delivery, and the baby is away from mother. So how to manage?
Yes. See, we have seen many mothers who are getting, pregnant ladies who are getting COVID positivity during the last trimester when they are about to deliver. So that is a real problem. But the thing is, suppose your mother is, a pregnant lady is positive and she delivers a baby. I think we cannot separate the baby from mother. That is one thing for sure. If the mother is in a good shape, she is not having a very critical condition, or she requires hospitalization, something like, they should be roomed in. That is called rooming in. A baby and a mother should be in the same room. Yes, they should take a proper precaution with a proper masking, sanitization, and they cannot keep the distancing. They have to take the child in a lap and give the breastfeeding. But just keeping a proper two-layered mask, two masks, they can fit the baby. You have to keep them with the mother. Yes, doctors will advise that when to do the report in the baby, but I think 5 days, when the baby becomes 5 days, they go for one report. And if it is negative, then baby is safe. Baby has not been infected with the mother. That has been almost proved, because usually we know that 5 to 7 days is the infectivity period. By that time, usually baby has escaped the infection. So yes, if the mother is positive, you have to continue breastfeeding, and that's why we are telling that even a breastfeeding mother has to be vaccinated, because then that will indirectly be that baby will be protected from COVID infection.
And if the parents are already vaccinated and still they get positive, what is the role for the child? If the child...
Okay, there can be two situations. One is parents are already been vaccinated, and it has happened that even after vaccination, you get COVID positivity. So what we have found is seen that those already who have received a vaccination, even a one dose, they got the infection, but they were mild. They were not very severe, and they were not requiring the hospitalization or a critical intensive treatment. So that is good thing. But yes, if they get infection, then there are chances that they are infective. So they need to get quarantined, and they should be keeping all the measures to protect the other child in the family. Now, second situation can be the parents have received the vaccination,
Hmm.
baby child has not received,
Hmm.
and the child gets infection. Child is COVID positive. Then what to do?
Hmm.
Because people
Hmm.
they think that you already been vaccinated, so then no
Yes.
issue. No, still
Yes.
you have to take all the necessary precautions. That is the masking and distancing as well as the sanitization, because vaccination doesn't guarantee that you will not get the infection. Yeah, you will get the infection, you may get, and it will be milder one, but
Hmm.
you may get infection. So if you are vaccinated and your child gets COVID positivity, you have to take care and you have to quarantine the child. Yes, along with the parents, never the child alone. So if the child alone is positive in the house, it is not that child should be kept in a separate room. Yeah, you have to take care and you have to be with them, because the child requires a moral support and
Yes.
sympathy,
Very,
and emotionally you have to be with them. So that is
very.
what you have to take care.
Sir, even after the child is infected, the post-COVID symptoms which are there, like legs are paining and the weakness is there. Like one of my friend's daughter was positive, and then now the complaint is that she used to do cycling a lot, but after this, she's not able to do it. दो चक्कर की थक जाती है पहले 6-7 चक्कर. So, is it's going to last longer, or any medication for this thing?
Usually children they come out very nicely. These things they happen, this is called long COVID in adults, because after COVID infection, even for 1 month 2 months, they are having so many complaints of fatigue, physical
Hmm.
fatigue as well as mental fatigue, and
Hmm.
they are having some feeling some weakness. But children they are having less of the issue, but still they can have this kind of issue. So just
Hmm.
nothing doing supportive treatment. Maybe you have to give them some energy drinks, sort of lemon juices or ORS, and
Hmm.
you to just wait for that weakness to come and fatigue to come out. So there is no treatment which is needed. Yeah, for adults I would like to say that if you have got a COVID infection, for at least 3 months you should not go for strenuous exercise, because there
Okay.
are instances where we have seen there some mishaps has occurred because of the
Hmm.
post COVID. At least 3 months you have to take care not to go for strenuous, because somebody people will try to prove that even after COVID I have recovered totally and I can do cycling, I can do jogging a lot. No,
Yes,
you just
yes.
hold on for at least 3 months and then you gradually increase your exercise thing. So this is an important point, by the way, for adults.
Even this multi-system inflammatory syndrome has been seen in children. Like high-grade fever was positive, but that time they did not come to know, and now they are coming to know. So, what do you say about this?
See, this is called MISC, multi-system inflammatory syndrome, in children. Now, see, this particular disease or the syndrome or complex, symptom complex, we can say, is totally new. It is post-COVID. Usually, it is immunological reaction. It is immune dysregulation, we can say. Usually, it occurs in the patient who have already suffered or already symptomatic COVID children, or they are not symptomatic, but there was somebody in the family who are positive, and they might have got asymptomatic infection. They have this kind of sort of MISC 1 month or so after that episode of COVID infection in the family or in the patient. But this has been overhyped thing, I must say, because there are numbers. We also
Hmm.
expect that it will be very huge number, because already this time second wave we had a good number of pediatric population who got infected, and but to our relief, these are very few number, maybe 1 in 10,000 we have found. And usually if we pick it up on time and we have the treatment for that, so we have to believe that it is not that going to be a very difficult disease to take care. So this is multi system inflammatory syndrome. Is you have fever which is more than lasting 4 5 days, more than 3 days, and you
Okay.
have COVID history in the past. You have inflammation, so inflammatory markers like CRP and everything is more.
Hmm. Hmm.
Multi-system, matlab you have more than one system which has been affected. Maybe when
Okay.
you see the skin, there are rashes. You have eyes which are red, which is non-purulent conjunctivitis, what typically we say, and we have some swelling of the hands, and we may have the diarrhea, vomiting, GI manifestation, or you may have the blood clotting abnormality, maybe a D dimer which is very high, or we have a heart involvement where we have blood pressure fluctuation, low blood pressure, and you might find that there is a vessels who are supplying the heart that is getting dilated. So this is MISC. But mind well, we have to just keep the things in the mind, but it should not go over your mind. So this is very infrequent or very few cases of this. So no need to panic. And this is MISC, which is, we have seen few cases, but they are not that big numbers. So not to worry. Just keep in touch with your doctor. If your child had that COVID infection in the past 1 or 2 months, and you have fever which is high grade, then you should be in touch with your doctor. That's all.
So any precaution for a child who come in contact with a pet, and the pet belongs to a family who was totally positive? So
Okay. So there was a question when this infection came into existence, that whether the pets are going to get infected, because if
yeah,
it is so, then definitely they will be also transmitting the disease to adults as well as children. We know that children are fond of pets, but
yes,
surprisingly and fortunately, the pets are not getting infected with COVID. Till now, there are no such data or reporting. We have some reports of lions and that jungle animals, they are getting infected in the zoo, but not the pets. So that's what we are wondering or rather worrying, that we should get control of this COVID infection as early as possible before it goes beyond the human or mankind. So from man to animal, it once it goes, then it goes beyond it. So we would try to vaccinate as many number as possible, and we would like to reach to herd immunity so that we can just get out of this pandemic, and then there should not be any problem. So definitely pets are safe, they are not getting infected. Let your children play with your pets. No issue, no issue whatsoever.
okay. Uh, that was really great. So much of information we got today on vaccination and about COVID-19, and how parents need to take care about all these things. Anyone, if any questions you need to put up, you can just put it up and sir will answer those questions. And we have already received so many comments, appreciation comments for you, sir.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
it
very
was
much.
really great. And any closing statement from your side, sir?
Uh, yes, I would like to say that we should be worrying about the disease, but we should not get panicked. And one thing is for sure, when we are talking about waves coming, third wave, we should be knowing our history that in January, February, we relaxed so much that we got the second wave, which was worse than first wave. So
Yes,
at
very
least we will not like to do the mistake again and again. So now when the cases have gone down, we should not get relaxed so much. We should continue COVID appropriate behavior. We should be keeping a SMSV. Now it is they are telling you SMSV, that is social distancing, masking, and sanitization, and V for vaccination. So please get yourself vaccinated as early as possible. Whatever vaccines available, keep standard precautions and save yourself, save your children, and save the humankind, mankind. So I think this is a basic message we have to learn. And see, COVID, we have seen the flu also, swine flu. We came out of
yes,
it. So we are
yes,
definitely going to come out of this pandemic. But at what cost? That is very important. Why? Because we saw so many people getting affected, and we lost so many young people in the second wave. So, friends, we
yes,
don't want that mishap to occur again and again. So, please take care of yourself and keep that COVID appropriate behavior. Be sensible, and let's make this COVID run away from ourselves.
we are waiting for that.
Yes.
Thank you so much. You took out your precious time and you came on our platform to deliver such a good information to all our parents. Thanks a lot. And we would
Thank you
be
so much.
inviting you for many more sessions.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much. It was really wonderful interaction, and I think we could just convey the proper messages to the audience. So thank you once again, Parent Station and Mr. Mista, for the opportunity. Thank you.
yeah.
Looking forward
Thank,
to such interaction again in future too.
thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.